Guys, 10 years later, Update 33 is finally on the cusp of releasing as we have some dates, and finally a big requested feature is making its way with this update, and I can't believe this is years in the making. I'm also going to give you guys the revealed new changes that are finally giving us the final touches for this big update in Update 33, and with that, we're just going to jump straight into it. First, let me give you guys a quick reminder. Update 33 is all about the new Infestation update. That means a smarter enemy is going to be embarking upon us, where we wake up the plague hearts and we deal with sleeping plague hearts and infestations and hordes that are going to be much smarter and specifically really targeting your communities. I have full breakdowns on how this works on the channel, more in depth, and we'll break some of it down in this video as we go, but we have so many new changes to talk about, and we're going to dive straight into what is the most juiciest and the most important information you guys probably want to know. The number one big change I'm super excited about, and that I talked about at the onset of the video, is we are about to be getting a new way to earn prestige in our regular communities, and this is the currency that lets us buy red talent weapons and facilities, and these are some very overpowered items that make a huge difference in the game. I actually don't run some lethal runs without some of these OP items. Now, this was only previously obtainable through the game mode Daybreak, but now we can get this when we defeat a siege in the new update. And if you don't know how the new sieges work, don't worry, I'll explain it in a second, but the higher the level of danger of the siege from level 1 to 3, the more prestige you'll be getting, all the way up to 250 prestige. Now, the second major thing that I want to talk about before I mention all the other changes happening with Update 33 is actually the release dates. Next month in April, we should see the final PTR build, which is a stress test for Update 33. So that's for those of us who are in beta and who are doing testing regularly and making sure it's running good, but it's pretty much close to done, as the final release date for Update 33 will be in May. Keep in mind, this update as a whole is by far the biggest mechanical change to the game I think I've ever seen personally. It's why it's taken over a year, and I'd go as far as saying that this is bigger than even Plague Territories because so much is actually changing. One disclaimer though is that they did say this is a tentative date, so it's possible that it's not gonna be the final. It's possible that they might change it if a game-breaking bug happens, but this is the dates that you guys should expect. And with that, we're going to dive into all the other awesome changes that were revealed in the latest dev livestream update, and I have a pretty big list here, so bear with me. First off, if you guys are not aware, there's a new awakening system with plague hearts, and this is just new to Update 33 itself, not what actually was revealed today. When you awaken them, they'll start to spawn hordes, and the hordes will spread to the map, all over the map, and with the end game goal of killing you and your entire community. So this change that is happening that is new is that the requirement now to awaken the plague hearts has actually changed. Before, killing any zombies or freaks, no matter what, added to the number that when you hit that number and you hit that certain threshold, it activated and awakened the plague hearts. The new change is if you kill them in stealth, it is not going to add to that number. So only zombies and freaks who are aware of you will be adding to that number to awaken a plague heart. You'll also start seeing new announcements on the top left that kind of give you warnings and give you information of kind of what's happening with the entire map, what's happening with the hordes, what's going on when you're trying to awaken a plague heart. You'll be getting all sorts of warning and just a lot more information in general. Another massive change that's coming, and this is big, guys, this is a completely new mechanic that's being added to the game, is that freaks themselves are now going to drop loot, but it's only going to happen with infestations and when you clear them. So specifically, they wanted to give players more rewards for clearing out infestations other than influence. So now when you kill a freak, so that's the bloaters, the juggernauts, or the ferals, they will drop loot at these infestations. Screamers will not drop loot. They are actually the requirement for clearing out the infestation itself, but the non-screamers, the freaks, those are going to be dropping the loot. There are 3 different types of loot that will be dropping depending on the severity of the infestation. And if you guys don't know, infestations now have a counter, a number that goes from number 1 all the way to number 3, with 3 being more dangerous, with more dangerous freaks. And that also means that they're going to be spawning nothing but hordes that are going to be heading to your base or infesting the entire map all around you. So killing a freak at level level 1's actually going to drop magic ammo. That's what they were calling it on the stream. So I guess this means ammo that you have equipped with your gun. I was kind of not really clear on what he meant by magic ammo, but I'm guessing that's kind of what it is. So it's going to be some more targeted good ammo. Then level 2, it will be dropping healing items, including first aid kits. So if you kill a level 2 infestation with freaks, they can drop healing items and the ammo. And then level 3 is freaks that will flat out drop guns, and I think gun mods as well, like silencers and brakes. So we now have some like RNG loot pinatas with these new infestations, and it's going to make clearing them a lot more worth it because you can get some pretty awesome loot out of this. Now we have some other smaller changes I want to highlight. I actually want to point this out. At some point during the stream when they were showcasing stuff, I thought this was really interesting. If you look closely, when you click on the horde itself on the map, it actually explains in detail where it's going and where it came from. There's also new markers and colors on the map if you guys haven't noticed. As I mentioned earlier, there's no longer the pips that you saw before and that I've showcased in previous videos. There's now just a flat out number that's very clear to see. There's also this new orange color here that indicates that these are siege sites. And if you're wondering what are siege sites, they're the launching point for hordes that are going to spawn that will go directly to your base to launch a siege. The current mechanic we are used to right now that you guys are playing all the time, those sieges, that's what we're going to experience only. They're going to launch these hordes that will actually activate the siege. And these do go up in terms of leveling and danger. So they can go from level 1, which is not going to be that much of a dangerous siege, all the way to level 3. So this whole map now is just going to be a lot more transparent, and it gives a lot more information as to what's happening and where it's happening with all the color coding and all the information, all the arrows pointing to where the hordes are going, and all of that is really great to see because it was kind of confusing before. Now, sticking to sieges, they showcased a siege happening at severity level 2 at standard difficulty, and what I thought that kind of stood out here is you can hear all the screamers screaming all around him, and it actually felt pretty fun to see that. I can't wait to test this out at level 3 on lethal because they said on stream that it's going to be insane on lethal, so this is something that's just insanely interesting. Moving on, they showcased the radio commands. Nothing really changes here too much, but I want to highlight how when he sent 2 people out to clear an infestation and do some scouting, 2 members from the community were missing and doing those missions, and he had to choose from the remaining pool to switch characters. So you don't get to choose who goes out on these missions from the radio commands, but when one of his community members came back, it was only about a minute, so they weren't gone for too long. Outpost defenses were also shown. There's going to be mines defenses and another defense that attracts zombies to that outpost and hordes to that outpost. And what was interesting here is that they lasted 3 hours when he activated, so that's about, I guess, about 2 days in game. And the cost of using these defenses can actually vary from full price, which is pretty expensive and uses some pretty valuable resources like fuel and other things, but if you actually have specializations in your community, so in the example here on the live stream, he had a munitions expert and a chemistry expert, you can severely lower the cost to use these and it becomes really good to use. So you have some more like game management and game planning with like your abilities, your skills, all your stuff. So I thought that was really cool to see. A couple more small notes that I want to highlight, and one big note. The big note is that they have done some tweaking, some changes, not to make this an overwhelming mechanic in regards to just worrying about doing nothing but clearing infestations. A lot of you have been saying that this update looks like a disaster because of that, but it looks like the balance changes have been happening, and I won't get to see how it really plays out until I test it, but it does look like it's a lot more tamer and not something that you guys have to constantly worry about all day long. But again, we'll see how it looks when I actually get to test it here next month. Another smaller thing is the sniper towers and watchtowers will increase your safe zone around your base, so you get this wider circle you see right here. It'll be even more wider if you have a higher level tower, and it's just going to give you more safety around your base, which is good to see. One last thing for those who don't know a lot about this update, at one point he was getting the infestations growing on the bottom part of the map to showcase stuff, but we actually never saw it grow because without the scouting mechanic down there, the new mechanic of kind of seeing what's happening, these things will grow with an awakened plague heart and you won't see what's going on unless you do something about it. So there's just a ton of these types of mechanics that will be dropping with this update, and I do feel like it's going to be a little bit overwhelming for a lot of players. I've gotten to mess with it so much, but for new players, man, it's going to be even worse for them. So watch out for this channel, as I can now safely make a final video on how everything is going to work, since we are at the stretch run and they're pretty much done with doing things to this update. And I definitely want to have a guide showcasing the different things you can do to survive and pretty much how all these new mechanics work, and so you guys just are not overwhelmed. So stay tuned. But otherwise, this new changes with update 33 will be appearing next month on the PTR, and again, the final release will hopefully happen sometime in May. And again, they did give themselves a little bit of wiggle room, saying that if something game breaking does happen, it could be delayed further, but it looks pretty much done, and I'm excited for this update. It's literally changing the game in such a radical way. But now there's like this new loot stuff that's happening, and now you can get prestige, plus the enemy just being smarter and going after you in an intelligent way. I personally have loved it so far, and I think you guys will as well. And with the new stuff implemented that was showcased today, I think this whole thing also becomes less daunting, which is great. And if you guys want to find out what's happening beyond update 33, I have the video just for that.